Hello all, it's Matt from Simple Strength Training here again. I'm just giving you my week 2 diary for my prep for the Capo powerlifting comp and the GC powerlifting comp coming up. Um, Before we get into that, over the weekend they also had the GPC Nationals in Perth. Congratulations to everyone who competed. You all look like you had a really great time over there. Unfortunately, due to me being at work, I could only watch bits and pieces as I went. And on the Sunday, I was at Monado Zoo with my partner Sharon and her grandson Bailey, and didn't get to see it then. Congratulations to all the South Australian competitors. I saw bits and pieces of yours. I would have loved to have watched more of it, but unfortunately, due to the music that was playing in the background, YouTube have temporarily suspended the ability to see the replay of the coverage. So as soon as that comes out, I'll start giving that a bit more of a look. This week, so it looks at us at about being 7 weeks out from the GPC and about 4 or 5 weeks out from the Capo competition, lifting comp. And this week I went off to 618 Barbell, where I met BJ and Jack. BJ being the owner of 618 Barbell. He was really welcoming. He let me train for free as it was my first time there. That was really nice of him. Thanks very much for that, BJ. They've got a great place there, heaps of equipment. It's a really good setup. It's just down the road from me in Paraka, because I'm in Brahma Lodge. And I really enjoyed it there. Nice people, and met a couple of other people that were very friendly as well. I went during the day, so there weren't a great deal of many people there, so had pretty much a free reign. I got to use a hack squat again, which working from home because I haven't got one of them yet for my home gym. There's a wish list for you. Yeah, that's on my wish list. So if anyone wants to surprise me with a Christmas present, being a hack squat leg press machine, hey, you can come and train. You can come and train with me for a year. Alrighty, the week itself went all pretty good as far as my training went. The prep's coming along pretty good. I'm hitting my numbers, which is all pretty good. There's a bit of a challenge chucked in the way this week with the public holiday for the Queen's funeral, Queen's death, that being the Queen of England. It means I had to move my Thursday back to training on a Wednesday, as I had to start early for the public holiday on Thursday, in which I couldn't train before work. Also, along with that, I had a couple of nights of really not the greatest of sleep, so that sort of made training a bit more difficult as well. But with the program that I've used, it allows me a bit of flexibility with what days I train, so I can shift things around a bit when I sort of miss out on a bit of sleep here and there, or I'm not feeling 100% for the training session that's coming up. So what I basically ended up doing is my Thursday become a Wednesday, and I ended up training in the afternoon, which meant I had Thursday off, which gave me a pretty decent break from Tuesday training, which is normally a full day's break in there. But as I said, because I had to train on the Wednesday, I decided to do that Wednesday night. So that gave me all of Tuesday and pretty much most of Wednesday as well. And then because I had a couple of bad nights sleep, because I tend to not sleep well if I train in the evening, I tend to be very uncomfortable in bed. So it took me a couple of nights to get over that. And then because of that, I had to actually train again on Friday night because I didn't sleep very well on the Thursday night, which led again to another bad night's sleep after that. But I'd already trained. So I've since had a couple of good nights sleep and I'm back on track. One of the things I have noticed is in my body adjusting to the heavy weights that I'm lifting now, because I've only been doing it for the last couple of weeks. The fatigue I get from my training is a little bit different. As I'm a bit older, I've noticed that I tend to take a bit longer to recover from the heavy weights than I do from the higher rep, more bodybuilding style or hypertrophy style or bro science style of training that I do when I'm trying to put on a bit of muscle mass, which I was doing for a couple of months, basically 10 weeks before I started into this peaking program. As I'm tend to recover from endurance work a lot better than I tend to recover from the heavy work. So in doing so, I've had to cut down on my total volume a little bit. It sort of looks like I haven't, but I have. I've increased a lot of my sets, but kept the reps a lot lower, which keeps the actual training volume for the heavy lifts up. But I've also dropped back to a lot more effective rep training for my accessory work, which, if you know anything about that, is basically, look it up. You'll find out what effective rep training is. It's basically just some rep pause work in there. It's where, but the simplistic way of explaining the effective rep training is you train your first set to failure, and then with a very, very short rest period, either 30 seconds or a minute, you do another set straight after it, and then another set straight after that. There's two basic types. One Dante Trudell come up with, another one some bloke called Christensen come up with, Dr. Kristen or something, I think. Andy Baker put me onto this sort of training. The Dante Trudell way of training the accessory work is 30-second rests, basically, and you're looking to get a total of 15 reps out of those 3 sets, and then you go up and wait. So basically, if you're doing, say, a dumbbell curl, first set you get 10 reps, next set you get 4 reps, the next set you get 2 reps, that's 16 total reps. You go up with 30-second rest periods between each set. Then if you go up next time and you get 8, 3, 1, then that totals 12, so you stay at that same weight for your following training session. The Dr. Christensen way, I hope I got his name right, I don't think I did. He uses a minute break and only does the 2 sets. He looks for a rep range of somewhere between that 10 to 15 rep range, depending on the exercise, but that varies, but just say 10 to 15 generally, or 10 to 16 to make it easier for mass. If you get 14 reps in your first set, you have to get at least 7 reps in your second set to go up, and the rest period is a minute. So that's basically the sort of training I've been doing, working that into my accessory work. My heavy work is pretty much standard peaking stuff. So my peaking program, which I'm using, which allows for that flexibility that I was talking about, is a 4-day-a-week program, which I got off Andy Baker's website. That's andybaker.com. He has 2 there. He has a very bare bones 5-week one and a 10-week peaking program. They both start and finish in pretty much the same way, in that 70% volume area, 80% heavy area, and work their way up to the 80%, the volume being in the 80% area and heavy work being in the 90% area. And all your work's done basically in the 5, 3s, 2s, and 1 area. The 5-week program is a 3-day-a-week program, which basically has your volume, squat, volume, bench, some upper back work and accessory work. On day 1, day 2 is a light squat with some pressing and some more accessory work. Day 3 is your heavy squat, heavy bench, and heavy deadlift. Basically your competition day, squat, competition bench, competition deadlift, and then some accessory work. I use some of those ideas in my prep for my first novice comp. I didn't follow that exactly. I was still using a 4-day-a-week program. It worked quite well with the way I laid it out. I was squatting the 3 days a week and stuff. It did all right, but I found my bench didn't go as well as I would have liked it to have gone. It didn't improve as much as I thought it probably should have. So this time around, I've changed that up a little bit. I've also used his 10-week program. His 10-week program is a 4-day program. He has 3 main days and an optional accessory day. It's pretty straightforward. The day 1 of the 10-week program is basically your heavy squat at a triple, working up to your competition squat, and following up that with a volume squat and a variation of that squat, and then a deadlift variation, usually a posterior chain work, and a bit of abs. Day 2 is the competition bench, working up again to a heavy triple, then followed by some volume work, then another bench press variation after that, then some vertical and horizontal pulling with a tricep extension. Day 3 is a light squat then followed by your competition deadlift. Then followed by some volume deadlift, and he recommends some deficit deadlifts as well, and then some rows. He's also said that if you wanted your volume deadlift and your deficit deadlift, or your deadlift variation you do, can be one and the same thing, so you can get your volume and variation work. Just increase the number of sets for your volume a little bit to go with that. Then day 4, which is his optional day, he benches again. He does the light competition bench, probably at about, I think he recommends about 60% with explosive speed off the check and a 2 or 3 second pause at the bottom of the rep. He also does some overhead work for reps and some vertical pulling. He chucks in some dips and some curls and some more accessory work, just to work on keeping up some of the muscle mass and strength work for working through the peak program. I've more or less followed the same sort of style, except I flipped a few of the days around on that. I flipped day 1 and day 2 around, and I doing a 4-day thing again, but where his optional day was day 4, I've made that day 3, and day 4 my heavy bench day. Sorry, my heavy deadlift day. So basically on day 1, I'm doing my heavy bench followed by my volume bench. I'm incorporating some floor presses, as I've got a bit of mid-range, a problem in my mid-range when the weights start to get heavy, so I'm working on that. Then I do a bit of vertical pulling. I'm trying to get myself to do a chin-up. Can't do a chin-up properly. Not great at chin-ups. I can do them assisted. Can't do bodyweight chin-ups. For some of those things I've never been able to do. I'm trying to work towards getting one. I will get one. Just one. I just want one to start with. Then we'll get to 2. Then we'll get to 3. Then I do some dumbbell pressing. Once again, this is where I introduce the rest pause stuff. I do the 1 minute one, rest pause with a minute, and then I do some tricep extension work. Once again, rest pause work there. And then day 2 is my heavy squat, which is where I work up to that heavy triple or double or single, depending on how far through the peaking program I am. Then I do some volume work. I'd like to have a leg press or a hack squat, but I don't, so I've got to sort of change it up a little bit and to take a bit of pressure off my lower back. I do a hip belt squat, so old lifting belt that I don't use for anything else, that I was just going to throw away, but so I use it for that now. I've just hook a chain up onto it, dangle the weights between my legs, stand on some big thick bricks, some Bessa bricks, and squat with that. I also do a bit of a deadlift variation on that day as well. It's a halting deadlift, as I'm trying to change my deadlift technique a little bit, and some advice I got from Fuzzy, from Fuzzy's power team. If you're looking for a well-established powerlifting coach, he's a great bloke to see. That doesn't mean you can't come and train with me, but I don't have the sort of experience he has, but he's a great coach, and he's very, very helpful, and he's just an all-around nice bloke. So thanks for the advice, Fuzzy. So I've been changing my deadlift technique a little bit, getting more into a knees a little bit further forward position. So I press a little bit more rather than it being closer to a stiff-legged deadlift. It's more of a pressing movement at the bottom. I taught myself to deadlift using the starting strength method, which sort of is great for building the mass. There's nothing wrong with that method of training, but when it comes to moving the most amount of weight that you're looking to move, and that's what you're trying to do in a deadlift competition, it's not perfect. But don't take that to mean that I'm dissing on that particular way of learning to lift or anything like that. It's great for building the most amount of muscle mass through the posterior chain of the body. It's perfect for that. If that's what you're aiming to do. You will get really strong doing it. I'm not saying it's not the best way to do it, but on the advice from Fuzzy, I sort of going to try a different style to see. Advice to start pushing my deadlift numbers up a little bit higher. Then following that, I do some bicep work and some calf work. Once again, using the short rest periods for that. All calf work should be pretty much short rest periods anyway. Then normally I'll have a day off This is where the flexibility comes in. If my plans for the week or weekends change or things like that, I can move days around here because I do 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 2 days off. So I can sort of catch and jiggle, which is what I like to have for myself when it comes to my training for days when I have bad sleep or I've got plans that I need to move my training around for. So that day is I do a medium bench because I'm trying to bench 3 days a week through this program. I use an incline close grip bench press because I like the results I get from that at the moment. That's sort of working for me. I'm doing that in the sort of strength area, not for high reps, setting it around that 6 rep stage and just working the weight up with that one. Then I do some overhead press work because I just like the overhead press, so I like to try and keep it reasonably strong. I don't go crazy with it, lifting absolutely maximal weights. I start with a heavy set, a heavy high rep set, somewhere between that 5 and 8 area, and then do some volume sets after that. Then also following that, I do some dips, some side raises, and some more tricep work, all following that rest pause method. The dips are with a standard like 2 to 3 minute rest in there. The side raise and the tricep stuff is just all rest pause. So the 4th day is also my competition deadlift day. I start that off with supersetted pause squat, beltless. I'll keep going beltless till it gets a little bit too heavy. Supersetted with a medium bench. The pause squat, I feel for me, and it just works for me, is the best squat day leading up to a meet. It helps me feel the bottom position really good, be strong in the bottom position. And it also helps me to develop my back strength. So I stay in the correct spot at the bottom of the squat with my back. And when I start to push out of the bottom, it helps me feel strong coming out of the bottom of the squats when the weight gets up. And it also helps develop that upper back strength holding that position. The medium bench is done at the same weight as my volume bench is done on the Monday. The main difference is there's no pause. I just bench normal. That way it sort of feels like it still feels like a workout, but it's not super heavy, but it does give you some good work for your chest. And the reason I superset them is because I like the idea from my previous competition prep where I did the 3 lifts on the one day. I felt that got me prepared for the upcoming meet really well. So I thought, seeing as how I'm doing a medium squat, I can sort of work that in with a medium bench. They won't sort of fatigue me too much to do my heavy deadlifts, but it'll also give me a little bit of physical conditioning for the day, getting that feeling of doing that squat, bench, and deadlift. So I do them. I do 3 sets of them. Then I move on to my deadlift, which I work up once again to a heavy triple, double, or single wherever I am throughout the peaking program. Pardon me. This is the program I got from Andy Baker. Then I follow that up with some volume deadlift. I'm basically doing exactly the same standard conventional deadlift for both because, once again, like I said earlier, I was changing my technique a little bit, and I want to try and get as much practice with doing that in before the actual comp days come around, as it's a new technique. Then I follow that up with some rows because getting a bit old and I sort of start to feel a little bit in my lower back from the week. At the moment I'm doing some dumbbell rows, but I don't have a seal bench, which I'd like to have. If I could get one of them down the track, that'd be great. A seal dumbbell row, but what I do is I basically get an incline bench, chuck that up on some bricks, and do a seal dumbbell row on that to get some back work in. Then I do some hammer curls. Once again, that's rest pause. The hammer curls are rest pause just to finish it off, but also just to keep doing that accessory work in because I enjoy doing it. So that's basically how my week turns out. I got that layout basically from Andy Baker, and that's his 10-week program. He has some other great programs on his webpage. I'll put a link to his webpage down the bottom in the notes area. That's andybaker.com. So lastly, I just want to have a quick chat about my philosophy on training, where I'm coming from, what to expect when you come and train with me, and basically how much my services cost and what they are. To start off, my philosophy on training is I want to help you become the strongest version of yourself you can be. I want to help you find you're strong. The reason for that is because that's what I found in my journey. I found my strength physically, mentally, and emotionally. When I started out at 211 kilos to where I am now, I found great reward in what I did in doing that for myself, and I found out a lot of things about myself and that I was capable of a lot more than I originally thought I was. And whatever your situation is or wherever you're starting from, it doesn't have to be with overweightness or being overweight or anything like that. I want to help you find your strong. I want you to get that same feeling of accomplishment, achievement, and self-reward that I got from doing what I did. It gives me great pleasure in doing that. All your training stems from having a great foundation. All buildings, no matter what you do, building wise, anything wise, if the foundations aren't good, the longevity of what you create is not going to be there. Barbells give you the best strength foundation, and training in the basic movements are what you need. In saying that, I'm not set in stone with it. I'm very flexible with it. I understand that everyone's capabilities are all different, and I'll work with that when you come and see me. But I do believe that having a good basis in strength and the basic movements of training is where you need to start from, and getting strong in those movements will serve you best in the long term. And that is usually barbell based primarily. So if you're sort of a bit at odds with me on that one, then we might not be a good fit. But if you'd like to come and find out still, come along and find out and see what it's all about still, drop in. There's no harm in having a chat. In saying that, that's basically what happens when you come and see me. We'll sit down, we'll have a chat. We'll go over your goals, your schedule, your history, medical and training wise, and all that sort of stuff. I take all those things into consideration when we sit down and work out a program, and we'll work out something that suits best for your goals. What you won't get from me is someone who's going to bullshit you. I'm not going to say something to you or tell you something just because I think you want to hear it. If I don't think your goals are realistic, I'll tell you. If I don't think your training schedule will meet the sort of training that you want to do and give you the results in the time frame that you want, I'll tell you. I'll organise your training so you can achieve your results in that, but it'll be in a realistic time frame where your results will be long lasting. I haven't had a lot of a professional experience. I'm only just starting out in my in that area of training. I've had a fair bit of private experience training friends and that sort of stuff. At the moment, I only have 4 clients, and in saying, I was talking about my flexibility before, pretty much all 4 of those clients are doing something a little bit different. One is doing a 4-day-a-week, basically bodybuilding program because he just wants to add a bit of mass and look good. He started with the basic movements too to start with. I incorporated some of his bodybuilding movements that he was doing before, but he'd never actually squatted properly, deadlifted, or overhead pressed before, so he had to learn how to do them, and we worked that in with the program that he was most comfortable with doing. One of my other clients only comes once a fortnight, as she trains predominantly with her partner, and she misses out on some of the things just on a training with him, just on schedule wise, so she fills in those gaps with coming to see me. Another gentleman can only come 2 nights a week on a Monday and a Tuesday, so we organise his training around that, and he's getting his results and moving forward with that as well. And I trained my partner, who basically followed a 2-day-a-week program, and she's been doing that, a 2-day-a-week strength program, and she's been doing that now for just over a year, and she's been really committed to that. for someone who'd never trained before with weights or anything like that, she found that she liked them a lot more than doing just cardio work and things like that. They suited her a lot more. But the one thing that I will say is she stuck to it, and she did her absolute utmost to not miss training. The secret to the best results is when we work out something for you, you stick to the plan we have in place. Obviously, life and that gets in the way, but long-term commitments to plans lead to the best results, and that's basically what we sit down and do. Hopefully, if you do come and train with me, we'll end up being pretty good friends because we'll spend fair bit of time together, and that's what I aim to do. And eventually, if you're interested in learning about it yourself, my other goals with training is to educate people enough so they can train themselves if they want to. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to keep training with me, but I'd like to also educate people so they're smarter about how to look after themselves, so they don't need my help in the end to look after themselves. That sounds a bit counterintuitive to making money, but if I can teach you how to eat better, I'm not a dietitian by any means, don't think that is, but I can give you some really good advice on that. Or train better, or look after a program for yourself, then that's what I'll do. And I'll be happy to do that because I love educating people on how to live a good, healthy, strong life. My prices are $35 per session, which I think reflect my professional experience. I do think you're getting excellent value for money though out of that, because I take a lot of pride in learning about training people. It's one of the things that I do. I'll spend a lot of my spare time doing outside of playing a bit of golf and spending time with the family. I spend the rest of my spare time educating myself in regards to training. I listen to a lot of people, information they put out, and I have a lot of great sources on that. I do reading as well. I'm always learning, and I think that's one of the best things you can ask for in a trainer, is someone who's willing to learn and expand their horizons. Anyway, on that, I also do online coaching. It's $20. That's $20 a week for online coaching. You'll get a catch up with me once a week with that. You get basically the same thing. We sit down, we do a program and all that sort of stuff over a video link or something like that, Messenger. Work out what you need and go from there. I'll put all my links to my Facebook page, Instagram, and website, as well as the other information from the other blokes I mentioned earlier in here. 618 Barbell, Fuzzy's Power Team, as well as Andy Baker's website at andybaker.com. I hope life treats you well, and have fun staying strong for life, and I'll see you next week. Bye.